the way you introduced me and the way you asked about Facebook made me feel like a game designer from Silicon Valley, but I'm not. 20 years ago, I studied in Harvard University, so it's been about 20 years that I've been in a group with, I would say, UK students studying actuarial science. And for 17 years, I worked in actuarial, doing all this crazy thing. People ask me why did I do actuarial? You must be smart, you must be really good in math. My answer is either I'm very smart in math or I'm very stupid. This is crazy. So after 17 years of doing actuarial, 3 years ago, I decided to quit my high flying job. I'm a VP at one of the big banks in Malaysia and want to do on my own. Okay? So people ask me, what are you going to do? I say I'm going to do on my own. What is it? Is it a business? Is it actuarial consulting? I said no. So are you doing open a cafe? No. I'm going to do something about games. So it is actually a tough question to convince my parents, to convince my friends that I'm going to do games. So just want to make that clear that though I'm going to talk about games, I have no whatsoever background about game design. I didn't study in game designing whatsoever. So today I'm going to touch about power of games for change. Okay, power of games. Okay, so power of games. Slide. Wow. I'm going to talk about power of games, and this slide, come on. The current perception about games is a waste of time. This is what people feel. People say playing FnD is a waste of time. And also they say that it's not productive. Right? And then it's a way of escapism. It's quite natural, no, nothing wrong with that. But that's what people they say that games are disruptive. Okay? And also they say game is for children only. That's why just now when I asked who played FnD, nobody raised their hands. Because I believe everybody is not children anymore, but you are actually children in your heart. So, I mean, these are the current perspective of games. However, what I see 3 years ago is a vision of using the power of games and change all this. Right? Because it depends on what kind of game that you play and what kind of game that you design. So, I hope by the end of this, another 15 minutes, I hope that this perception that you have, or even your parents have, or your girlfriend or your boyfriend have, will probably change. Alright? We learn, we observe, we take note what games make people behave, how games make people react such a way, how games make people do such a thing, what makes game make people don't do such thing. So this is example, it makes people together. This is also another example, but this is where, this is from our experience in actual photos. This is not so this is actually that game is actually in town area, so town. So this is what when we bring our game. This is just a giant Jenga. I think we have some giant Jenga set that we bring here to some of you probably play. It's just a basic game, but this is a rural area where I don't think any of the houses have any Astro connection. They have a problem with internet connection. So when the first time we bring our games there, we actually really worry whether how are these people that we thought maybe not that open-minded accept the game, but they are. I mean, the children, it's not that big, but you can see from their faces actually the way they focus on the task given. They probably do not want to wash their dishes, but they look at people playing games. Some play, some just view. That's what game has done. This is another example of this. And okay, this is where we bring more people's children and adults to play games. Right? And okay, that's our giant Jenga. You can see that the impact of people, how they are so excited. Sometimes they call it epic win. Sometimes they call it ecstatic. or sometimes they call it fiero. It's an Italian word for some sheep, victories, things like that, fiero. And, oh, okay. The next few faces actually is a photograph taken by a photographer called Philip Tendon. He actually a very eccentric photographer where he took certain art photography. And one of his series is called Gamers. What he did is actually put like 10 PCs in a room in his studio and get people to come and play games. And he captured and photographed their facial expression. So this must be seriously thinking about what he's going to do. He's probably want to attack something, so that's why. And the top, the lady probably was thinking, what am I doing here, man? Why is that? So okay, I'm not sure what are they, but these are the actual facial expression of gamers playing game. And I think about one more and the last one. He actually don't believe that he is just going to win, like I said just now, an epic win. You can see from the expression of the eyes. So you're like, whoa, the mouth, whoa, I can do this. I can do this. In your real life, that boy probably don't believe in himself of doing such a thing. In games, okay, people bring out the best of themselves. That is what inside the power of game of how can we bring all these good traits, strategic thinking, focus into the real world. Okay, so I think I better skip that phase because that is quite okay, so basically that's in summary of what is the power of games. So why actually we play games? Okay, according to this research done by Mattel, they sort of categorize why actually people play games and do that facial expression, things like that. Okay, and okay, so basically all of us, according to this study, are players. Okay, don't misunderstood me with another player. This is okay, a different type of players. Okay, so this will make every one of us react to a game differently. So first category of players is actually socializer. Socializer is, I would say, quite majority of us now where that's what, the type of players. Socializer also make us play FnD because our friends play FnD, we want to be in the circle, we want to be, when people talk about FnD, I want to talk about FnD. So that's basically one area why people play games. And another category is achievers. Achievers, I think, quite straightforward. Is people play games just to win. I want to win, I want to achieve this. I want to reach this level, I want to when I play this sport game, I want to reach that. So this is an achiever. The third category is explorer. Explorer don't care about whether I play with some people or I play with him or her, but explorer don't also care whether they win actually. They just want to try new things. Oh, this game, is it good? Okay, let's play. This game, this looks interesting, this involves about automobile. So that's where, for those that have a character of explorer, we play that kind of game. But when I say all this category, it doesn't mean that everyone else has only one trait. It normally is a mixture. Alright? Okay, the last one is killer. That's why I need to ask whether all is stated. Okay. Killer is nearly like achievers. Achievers want to win. Killers, of course, want to win, but also want to see someone else lose. Okay, so I mean, you see, it's just basically a motivation why that people play games, why people stick to different games. Basically, these are the so. Okay, but I'm not surprised that when it comes to killers, everybody will like, okay, so when I'm talking about the power of games, what FnD Mindspot I try to promote all these years is actually we go out beside the game center, is we also actually go to events like that to get people play games. Many games, manual game, but our need is to focus on manual games. We have a lot of board games, we have giant games, so that people can see the impact of these games. And we use that reaction from people during these events or whatever to basically
study about games and also design games. We come to that. We have to start to design games. One. So, but come to the power games. Okay. Why actually talking about games that you can make? The power game can create changes. Can create changes to the world. Can probably create a better world. Okay. The reason is because of game is nearly the only source, the only force in the world from a research that can provide these three characters. First is that voluntary. Most of the time people play game basically without any force. At least nobody say that you must play, if not, I kill you. If there is such a case, I think you have to make a report. Okay, so basically people play games voluntarily. So that's one of the first important traits of games. People play games voluntarily. The second one, actually, we play games against our self-interest. Okay, first you are voluntary, and then you play game against your self-interest. For example, like farming just now. You have never had interest in farming. Maybe some of you yes, but most of you no. Alright? So, in fact, anyone, this is quite a long arcade game, Daytona, you know? Yeah. That's probably an example of most people want to be a racer, so they play, but there's a lot of time we play, even people play Monopoly, for example, it's a board game. Not everybody, I don't think they really play Monopoly really want to be like bankers or things like that. Some still really want to be doctors, but still play Monopoly. Why? So that too is voluntary and against self-interest. But the most important thing is about games is actually with that two traits. It's actually game is predictable. Predictable means that we can design games. Okay, we can design games that can be played for 10 hours. We can design games that can be played for half an hour. So that's why, it is the introduction why we say that the power of games, that with this trait that what FnD Mindspot has been doing our research for the last 3 years by showing people the power of games. So now we are going to the next branch, is that the power of games is such create certain excitement, create certain fear, is voluntary, people willing to come. It's an engagement that you get from the crowd. Okay? And also, even though it's against self-interest, even like what Jasmine talked about green. I mean, maybe not everybody feel that the green subject is for them, but it is a very important subject. But we can design, just give an example, we can design such a game that can promote game. But people, the rest of the world don't see that game as green thing. It's a game where people come to play. We design such a way, but when they play, they learn. It's not when they learn, it's not learning by playing, it's when they play, they learn. It's two different things. So that is why, alright, that's why games are so powerful, and we can design in such a way to create a better world. So before we go to the designing stage, where I just quickly go to the in summary of the game mechanics or features of games like that why game itself is actually very engaging, get people to stick to it, things like that. Okay, the first thing is actually the reward system. It's the point, the scoring. Okay, it's the scoring system. Now you play game, you got some point, you got some like, you got how many friends, things like that. So that is basically one of it. The next one is actually is the challenges and goals, and that's where it pushes the player want to play. So for Fabian, the goal is not that clear actually, but actually they set the goal as actually is a hidden goal, that how many people you feel, how many friends, how many neighbors that you have, how big is your farm, how many levels that you have. So the goal is to upgrade your so games needs goals, reward system, and rules. Rule is where just now I mentioned about the predicted way. So you design again with the rules so that it meets your objective. Right? Okay, and then immediate feedback. Okay, game also have this immediate feedback, means that the real life is you say, for example, afterwards when you all go to the working environment, what happens is every year they have this review how your performance done. So though you done some mistake 3 months ago, they wait until 1 year, then only they say you have done something wrong. Someone actually better than you. But in games, there is immediate feedback. They create things like leaderboard. Leaderboard shows that, example, leaderboard shows that Nas having higher point than Yasmin. So Yasmin said, oh, Nas is leading. I have to work harder to beat him. So that is actually important because it gives you the feeling of where you are. Games have that. So I mean that is social interaction, whether it's online or things like that. And then status and recognition. Because sometimes it's not about how many points you have. And some long time ago, people play Risk. Anybody play Risk before? Board game? Yeah, I think quite many are soccer. Sometimes you play that game probably 10 years ago, but when you meet your friend, you talk about, oh, I remember that game when you killed the Black Army. So that is, you create a game, okay, so that people get rewarded also not from the scoring or monetary or what, but it's just from the recognition that you have done it. You have done it. Okay? You have done it. Okay. Talking about power games, talking a bit about games learning. So what is the changes that we are going to do in this world essentially? You can see on top of the red line is those subjects, matters that probably important. Very important, but language is things like reading, doing, do chores, fundraising, unity, learning, government. Below the red line is actually those things that are actually fun. However, these things are separated. People told you, our parents tell us that if you go and wash your clothes, you can eat ice cream. See, it looks like washing clothes and eating ice cream are two different things. One is fun, one is not fun. So the the power game is to design a game between that, right? Between that objective, or objective, whatever it is, to make it fun. But all these things are down here is actually those things that they don't have that complete, all the three characters that game had just now. Okay, game have that predictable, voluntary and against self-interest. So the power of games is to change all these things. But there are a lot of things to do. Things like global warming, natural disasters. Those are very important issues to highlight. People highlight using flyers. People highlight using reading materials. Okay, I'm not against it, but how many people, if you call for a session to listen about earthquake? Probably not. Okay, probably not. So, okay, getting to the end. I know some people are giving me a very good feedback about that. Okay, so in general, what happens that what we are going to make the power game to use the power game to change the world is actually, you can see from the left side that currently a lot of objectives or communication are done to make it interesting. They put some games inside in the programs or in the literature or whatever. So what actually FnD Mindspot believe on power game and what we're supposed to do to change the game is to change this information flows, to transform the information so that you have that objective, but you circle it with game, which is fun. People will run here rather than that. But when they play, they learn. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, before I finish, so basically that's what the dream that we FnD Mindspot try to promote. Okay, people ask why we do this sort of radical thing during this time. People say why we do this business. My answer that we are not doing this business. We actually starting an empire. So we see big things. So because we saw the power game, that's why we know people don't believe us. So we have to create a game center so people come and play and see why game is so powerful. So that's why. And just to finish off, as I said just now, we actually started to design games. And okay, So this is a sneak preview of sort of the first board game that we designed for Mercy Malaysia. It's a game where it's about disaster management games, but if there's no disaster at all whatever, it will be called Heroes. So those that play this game, basically we become heroes by saving life. So this is a game about saving life, but what you play, you will learn. And a very nice sneak preview is, actually the games will, how does it turn? Right? And the game will be something like that. The launching will be next month. This will be a game where should help people to learn what to do during disaster. It will be promoted internationally through Mercy Malaysia for the other humanitarian organization. So hopefully this can make us and the rest of the world to learn about natural disaster and hopefully less life are killed during natural disaster. Alright, with that, that's our core. Fun is the future, and this game, like Nas said, games can make the place productive. Imagine what it can do to society, government, corporation, and the world. So, ladies and gentlemen, games on. Thank you.